I want to share 15 of the life lessons that I've learned so far. And I've been writing these down recently because these are things that are always true. And I need to start following them more because I find that when you learn cool new things to follow in your life and you don't write them down, you just forget about them. So you can grow immeasurably as a person and yet not absorb any of it because you don't remember it. So I started writing it down and I just want to share it. The first one is to always assume good intent, because if you assume that everybody's out to get you and everybody's against you, one, you're going to be unhappy. You're not going to be fun to be around, and you're going to find that you're not nearly as successful in life as you could be. Also, for the sake of the other person, you have no idea what is going on in somebody's life. And I've learned this many times, the hard and the easy way. Somebody cuts you off at a red light, you might be screaming and hollering, but they might be on the way to the hospital. A loved one might be in their last moments here, right? You have no idea. Sometimes maybe they are trying to screw you over or they do something wrong. But I found that there has not been a single time where that was true because they always had some reason, whether I agreed with it or not. They had a valuable, justifiable, real reason to do what they did. So always assume that they have good intentions, not necessarily good for you, but that they are trying to do something good. It might be good for them, but they have good intentions. Nobody, very few people, I shouldn't say nobody because there's mental illness and everything else. Very few people go out of their way to hurt someone else. Most times it's because they're trying to help themselves and they don't realize that it's hurting you. Or they think that they're helping you, but they're hurting you. So always assume somebody has good intent with what they're doing, even if you don't understand it. And it will give you a lot of peace in life. The next one is a good quote. It's not quite a life lesson, but whatever you chase runs. This is an obvious statement if you're out in nature. If you're going to chase after a butterfly, it's going to fly away. But in a more real context, if you're chasing happiness, you will never find it. If you are chasing girls, you might get them, but you won't find the happiness that you're looking for in them. If you are chasing money, you probably will not get it as fast, if at all, as you could if you attracted the money. So this has two sides. Whatever you chase will get farther away. So stop chasing and start attracting. Become someone who will attract a good girl, someone who will attract opportunities and people that might make you money. And be someone who accepts the ups and downs of life, and you will find that you are much happier that way. The third one is never let anger take over. This is a obvious one, and yet it's very hard to actually practice because you might find reasons in the moment why yelling or arguing might be good, but the reality of the situation is that's just showing your weakness. And anger is not good. It is always destructive. A better way is to avoid arguments and actually have a civil, understanding conversation. Just avoid yelling. It's not much explanation for this one. Just don't let anger take you over. Learn to control your anger and not have it at all. One thing that I've learned is like, when you go in the fridge and get like blueberries or something and the Tupperware or the bin falls out of the fridge and it goes everywhere on the floor. Like today I was going to get blueberries. I hit my strawberries and the thing opened and strawberries scattered all over the floor, right? So you could typically get angry, start yelling, or just get pissed off. Or you could just not let anything happen and just start picking up the strawberries because that's what you're going to do anyway. And don't let it ruin your mood. It's not going to fix anything by just pick it up and go on with your life. Don't let everything make you angry. Just be at peace. It's not that hard to just, okay, the strawberries on the ground, I'm going to pick them up. I'm not going to holler and all life's against me. That's not how it works. That just happens, and it happens to all of us. So just start picking them up and put them in and move on with your day, and you'll realize you won't even remember that it happened. But if you get angry, you will, and that sticks with you. So anger is pretty much directly related to grudges, and those just eat at you as a person. Fourth one is if you maximize the process, the outcome will be guaranteed. This is the idea of inputs and outputs. So everybody likes to focus on the output, including me. It's like my favorite thing to do, actually. My dad often says that I'm a wonderful planner, but I need to work on the doing part, which is pretty true, I admit. But everybody likes to focus on the outcome. They like to focus on the zeros in the bank account or the results in the gym. But what they don't realize is if they focus all of their efforts on the inputs, the outputs would be maximized. If you spend every hour of every day that you possibly could doing everything you can to make money, you'd make a lot more money than if you were checking your phone or looking to see how much money you made and dreaming about it all day. So that one's pretty straightforward. If you maximize your diet and your exercise and your sleep and you maximize everything and optimize it, your muscle growth will be maximized. Rather than focusing, I haven't put enough weight, start focusing on, hey, what can I do to put on more weight, right? Start taking action instead of looking. Fifth one is purposefully do that which you dislike to gain mental fortitude. Big words. Do things you don't want to do, and it makes you a stronger person. Take those cold showers in the mornings. It'll wake you up and you'll find that you'll get a little bit of dopamine release, a little bit of motivation afterwards. It feels phenomenal. Sucks when you're in the shower, but afterwards it's always worth it. And you'll find that the more you do this, the easier it'll get. And then you'll find that hard things are easy for you and you will excel in life. The sixth thing, next page, do not make permanent decisions with temporary emotions. This goes back to the anger thing. If you're angry or upset, there's a lot of different emotions. And you make a decision through that emotion, you may find that once it clears up, your judgment was impaired, which it most of the time was, and you're going to regret the decision that you made. If you get upset at someone, don't say something that you don't mean. Don't do something that you don't actually want to do. So don't make permanent decisions with temporary emotions. Let it settle, breathe, give it a few days, and then decide. Number 8 is silence is the difference between being a boy and a man. Nobody seems to be able to sit in silence anymore, and I find it is very hard for me as well because they can't stand their own thoughts. Like, whether it's because you just hate silence or your thoughts creep up on you of, hey, I didn't do this today, I'm not good enough, I'm not this didn't happen, and you just find negativity, so you avoid it by shoving a screen in your face or noise in your ears all the time. And it feels better to do that than it is to sit in silence. But you'll find that for the men or boys watching this video, that's one of the key parts that you need to become a strong person and set you above pretty much the entire population. If you are able to sit in silence, you'll reap the benefits. And let me tell you, there are a lot of them, and you don't realize it. It's incredible. Your mental clarity goes up, your dopamine resets, so you get a lot more excited and motivated to do very little things, right? The silence becomes addicting, and you're more productive. You don't burn out as easily because it's almost like a rest. It's giving your brain a break from sensory input from every direction. You also have your best ideas in silence. Think of things that you never would have thought of if you had noise in your ears. It's also a wonderful time for reflection, and this is why I say it's the difference between a boy and a man for 2 reasons. This means that if you are able to sit in silence, that makes you a man because you can deal with that pain, that negativity. And once you deal with it, it's not there anymore, and it becomes a very positive experience. Second one is because you have so much time to reflect in silence that you can grow immeasurably more than if you were shoving things in your ears or your face all the time. When I say shoving things in your face or your ears, I'm talking about music and YouTube and TV and Netflix, right? The next one is fresh air and sunlight are natural mood enhancers. If you're feeling really bad, you don't want to go outside, but you probably should. When you're sick, you just want to lay on the couch, but the outdoors and that fresh air, they're very wonderful. You feel very good when sun hits your skin. That light actually releases dopamine, and it's a natural mood enhancer. You feel better, you feel motivated. The fresh air you'll find is nourishing. Like you feel more full and more energetic and more natural when you're doing that. So if you're ever down or in any negative mood or even a positive mood, just get outside more. Breathe in some air, go out for a walk. Definitely after you eat. That is a phenomenal decision. Helps metabolism too. So you'll digest your food a lot easier and you won't get as tired. Just go for a nice day walk after you eat. I just urge you to not stay inside all the time because sunlight helps a lot. Number 9, mapping the journey isn't the journey. The journey is the journey. This is more of a tip for myself because I suck at actually doing. I'm a very good planner. It makes me feel good dreaming, as do most people. Dreaming is really fun because you don't actually have to do any work and it still feels just as good. But you're not at peace. It feels good, but it hurts because you know that you should be doing more. And so sitting here and figuring out your plan to become a millionaire is good the first time you do it. But if you're doing it every day and changing it every day, you find that as soon as you try to apply that plan, it never goes to plan. I plan my workouts a week ahead, and 95% of the time, the only one that actually gets done is the next day, if even that, because nothing goes according to plan and you cannot predict life. So stop trying to plan your entire future out. Start doing, and you'll find that your course will correct itself and you'll learn a lot. Number 10 is momentum is not just a law of physics. P equals mv. I'm sure it gets a lot more complicated than that, but I didn't take physics in college. So momentum is this feeling. A good day. It overflows into the next day. You feel really good because you finished everything you said you were going to do and you did everything you said you were going to do the previous day. And that carries over in the next day and the next day and the next day. So if you do what you need to do every single day, it does compound, and you'll find that you get to a point where you feel so good about yourself that you're growing exponentially every day. This is the kind of the idea of addiction or a detox is the longer you get away from something, the easier it is to stay away from it, right? So if you're trying to get off your phone, it's going to suck the first day. The second day, it'll be a little bit easier. And it probably won't be easy until 20 to 30 days because that's how much it takes to build a habit. And you'll find that that's scientific, but realistically, it is momentum that you're building because you realize I've been going 21 days. I don't want to lose that. So don't keep doing it. So momentum is very real. And you'll find that you'll get one success and it's followed rapidly by a bunch of other successes. But the problem is momentum also works in the opposite direction. Once you lose it completely. If you do one thing wrong after you've built up all this momentum, you're back to square one and you can go backwards with it. When bad things happen, they often happen in rapid succession. Life is a series of super high highs and really low lows. But if you build enough momentum, it levels that out a little bit and you have pretty constant highs if you learn to deal with it properly. And that kind of leads us to the next thing, is that a mindful morning leads to a productive day. So if you want to keep this momentum going, it's most important to start early. If you wait to do everything until the afternoon, you probably won't do it. The morning sets the tone for the rest of the day. If you ever have noticed when you do something in the morning, the rest of the day feels a lot longer and it feels a lot more enjoyable. You go for a morning run or a workout or a walk or anything in the early morning, the rest of your day is a lot more clear. If not, do what works for you. That is what has always happened for me. So doing something in the morning to clear your mind, get focused, and just keep that momentum going has worked wonders for my focus and productivity. The 12th life lesson is always do what you know you should do, even if it's not what you want to do, and it usually isn't what you want to do. I believe in this like logos that we all have, this like drive. It's called many, many different things by many, many different people, but we all have this inherent drive of what we should be doing, right? You know what you should and shouldn't be doing. And it's very simple, because when you argue like, oh, but you really don't know. The reality is that the only reason you're arguing that is because you don't want to. You know which one you should do, but you don't want to do it, right? You have an exam tomorrow, and it's at 11 a.m. You know that you should study. You're not going to because you'll probably do good on it anyway, which might be true. You probably will. I've always been a good crammer. Study an hour before, do good on the exam. But you'll find that if you do bad on the exam, you'll feel really bad, because not necessarily just because you did bad on the exam, but also because you know you should have studied and you chose not to. Doing what you know you should do. If you have work due, but you choose to go out instead, you're not going to have as much fun going out because your mind's going to be back, hey, I have work due tomorrow, I should probably do that. And you're going to be miserable when you wake up in the morning and have to do a crap ton of work because you didn't do it last night. So always prioritize what you know needs to be done over what you want to be done. And this is the hardest thing in life. I will say I suck at this. Every single day I fail to do this. Every day. Whether it's I wanted to do this, but I should be doing this. I have an assignment due today, but I can get it done in an hour. I never get it done in an hour, ever. It's very hard, but always do what you need to do over what you want, and things always fall into place. You will find the opportunities open up, and you typically get what you want if you do what you need to do. You don't have to believe me, but start doing what you need to do, and you'll find that you are much happier because opportunities to get what you want open themselves up. Some natural phenomenon, weird thing, rule that I don't understand, but it's true. Number 13, a lone wolf doesn't build an empire. This one is very valuable, potentially the most out of all of these, because it's contrary to most social media teachings. For all of you who are looking to go on that lone wolf path of go ghost, make it happen, change your life in 6 months, you don't need anybody, you don't have anybody, none of that matters, go ghost and win. That does not work at all. The people trying to sell that to you are doing quite that. They're trying to sell you something. Okay. Sell you a dream, because then you're going to keep watching their content, but you're not going to do anything about it. The reality of the situation is we are humans. We need relationships. We need social events. We need fun. We need breaks. That's just how it works. That's how it is. And that is not going to change. So you can't go ghost for 6 months. You'll get lonely. You'll get depressed. You won't do anything, because after about 2 weeks, you're going to burn out and be completely unproductive. You'll find that you actually will do more if you go out and have fun with your friends. If you take breaks, if you take a day off once every 2-3 weeks. You can't ghost all the time. You can work hard. Don't get me wrong. You can go through periods of intense work, but you can go ghost for 6 months to a year. Won't happen. You might be able to go completely lock in, no distractions ghost mode for like 2 to 3 weeks tops. And then you will burn out heavy. You'll be depressed and you will be lonely. So lone wolves don't build empires. People who balance build empires. You have wonderful relationships. You don't have to be with your girlfriend all the time. You don't have to be with your friends all the time. You don't have to be with your family all the time. You don't have to be training all the time. You have to be working all the time. You can do a little bit of each of these, and as soon as you learn to balance them, you'll be immeasurably happier, and you'll find that you're a lot more productive in each of these realms, right? Do the work you need to do. You don't need to see your girlfriend for 4 hours a day. You can see her for 30 minutes to an hour, if even that. Take her out once or twice a week so you guys see each other. If your work comes over that. If your relationship comes first, prioritize what you need to do first. Your friends. You don't need to go out with them every single night. Try doing it less and working more. Opposite is also true. You don't need to work 18 hours a day. You'll burn out. All right. Spend a little bit of time doing something that you want to do, someone who you want to be with, and you'll find that your work is a lot more productive that way. A lone wolf does not build an empire. Somebody who balances every aspect of their life builds the empire. Number 14, always choose optimism. Pessimists are just unhappy with life. Nothing is different between an optimist and a pessimist. It is just their outlook. And you'll find that optimists are much nicer to be around and they're much happier with their lives simply because of their mindset, right? If you are a victim mentality, I urge you to stop. And It's not easy to do. I understand that things just don't work out in some people's favor, but you have to view those as opportunities, because most people that I know that are like super victim mentality and have like think everything is against them actually have so much going for them. They have so many opportunities. It's incredible, but they don't recognize them. And being an optimist will let you recognize those opportunities, grasp them, and win. And the final one is 20% of the inputs create 80% of the results. This is straight out of a book called the 80-20 rule. I would recommend you read it. I haven't even finished it yet. I've finished like 2 chapters and it's changed my life because it's true. So it's not always 20-80, but it's basically stating that a very small amount of your efforts create a huge amount of the results. Eating like whole foods and going to the gym 4 times a week, that's going to pretty much do 70 to 80% of it. But doing all that like organ meats and raw milk and fasting all day, that's going to give you that extra like 20 to 30%. And for some people that matters. For other people it doesn't, and it shouldn't. Because if you do a little bit of math with it, if you're spending all of that effort, it goes in the other direction. 80% of the things that you do only create 20% of the results. So you're putting in 80% extra effort to get pretty much nothing. You can put in that effort elsewhere. So you can get 20% effort, get 80%. You can put another 20% elsewhere and get 80% from that. So you're getting 80% from 5 different places, putting in the same effort that you typically would to get 100 and 100 from one place. So you can put in 20% in 5 different places and get 80% out of each of them instead of putting 100. Not going to do the math. Probably estimate would be you're probably 4xing your productivity at least. Just keep that in mind. Is if you're worried about the gym being perfect, don't. If you're worried about your diet being perfect, don't. If you're worried about work being perfect, don't. Do the very basic little bit that you need to do, and that'll produce a majority of the results. Start. And you'll find that the rest flows very easily and you're much more balanced in your life. So all of this kind of comes back to having balance creates joy. You're much happier and more at peace. Happy is a very relative term, right? Happy is perspective. Joy is constant. I can be in a terrible mood and still be joyful. It's just a matter of consciously choosing to flip the switch and live life, because nothing is that deep. We're on a floating rock. I hope that you can use at least one of those 15 rules, and I hope to also be on here more with more raw, unedited, unfiltered, whatever content. I just want to share what I know because I have learned a lot, and it's very hard for me to express that stuff, and I need to learn to explain it to people and express that. So, I'll see you soon.